grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, God evening to all. I'm Justin B. I'm a son of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and a qualifying addict, living in the miracle of one day at a time recovery. And I'm here with Nikki M, the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my sister. Nikki, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your life today.
Hi, everybody. I've recently diagnosed myself. I'm Nikki M, and I'm a soul surgeon, and I've diagnosed myself with zoochosis. Okay, Justin, it's where animals in the zoo go crazy. It's still the polar vortex. I'm zooming in, and you're hearing me live from Toronto, Canada. Normally, I'll take a trip in the winter to go see Mr. Luxembourg or anywhere, and I haven't gone on a plane. I haven't done anything. So I'm literally in the polar vortex. There has been so much snow. However, here's the bright spot. Working this program endlessly, never taking a day off. I have a hot tub and a sauna. So I get 2 hours in my morning time of my practice to get a daily relief of zoochosis. And then the rest of the time, I'm like, when is winter ending? That's how I am today. I'm still free. I'm happy, joyous, and free, but I'm realizing how the animals feel. And this, does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah, zoochosis. I have definitely felt that, and it's February. That's often the time that I feel that same thing and have to get out and go down to Arizona or somewhere where the sun's shining and where it's warm, you know. And I hope, Nikki, you have the opportunity to be relieved of zoochosis here very soon. So very good. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to the Noodle It Out with Nikki M podcast. And what we do here is we bring questions from everyday life, from our recovery, from working with others, and from observation of what's happening in the world around us, and take it to the Big Book and seek answers to questions that the Big Book really, I haven't found too many questions, if any, that the Big Book doesn't address and provide solutions for. Today, Nikki, what I'd like to do, actually, before I jump into that, I just want to throw something out there. Your support for RICO 12 is very helpful, and it really is a big deal in helping us keep the lights on and keep sharing this message with others. So if your higher power is leaning on you and saying, hey, chip off $1 or $100, whatever it is, to RICO 12, the details on how to do that are in the show notes of this podcast. You can also go to RICO12.com. That's RECO12.com, and you can support us there. So thank you for all donations, small and large. They really do help support us in this process and in this project. All right, let's jump into a question today, Nikki. And what I've got here is something that I've heard a lot of people say, and I know you've heard this also. But I hear things like, you know what, I'm in program, I'm working it, I'm showing up to meetings, I'm checking the boxes, and I'm just not seeing these promises that the Big Book says I should be seeing. I'm not experiencing those. What does the book say, Nikki? Walk us through that.
Well, the book says a lot. I mean, let's just go first to page 83. And this is where a lot of people just don't get it. The spiritual life is not a theory. This is not a theory. I mean, maybe you should, when you come into a mute, like, what's the definition of a theory? Because a lot of people do not understand what we're doing here. We have to live it. Now, at first, Justin, you and I get it. If you can roll back, Justin and I have been in these rooms for, over a decade. I think we're both at I just had my 14th birthday. I'm only 14 years old. See, I don't even know really anything because I come in here so broken. So if you roll your eyes up on page 83, yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead. You're reconstructing your life. A lot of people think they just have to stop watching porn. They just have to stop eating sugar, stop drinking alcohol. I just need to stop popping benzos and I'll be okay. And then I can go back to my normal life. This is a complete page 14, destruction of self. I mean, that's not an easy word, destruction of self. It says on page 13, I love this paragraph, and I'm going to promise you, this is what Justin and I are doing every week. We have, I think this is like 140 episodes. So, I mean, every week, we've been here for a few years now, if I do the math on that. My friend, that's me and Justin right now. We're going to promise you that when these things are done, what things? When you work all 12 steps all damn day, when you wake up every day and you admit that you cannot do life without a spiritual awakening daily, where you believe that this power that's inside of you will restore you to love, agape love. When you make a decision to be a member of a program, whatever program you're in, and you make a decision to have your thinking and your actions directed by being a responsible, loving adult. If you've already done an inventory, you don't need to do it every day. It's a searching and fearless, you've done it. 7 deadly sins. You talk to the right people every day. Your mother, your untreated wife, girlfriends around the office cooler. Those aren't the people. You understand? You have to stop doing what you want to do every day. Step 6, are you getting willing to stop doing what you want to do? Step 7, get humble. You don't know anything. But I'm 50. I've been here for years, says this person, that. You don't know. I know we're not supposed to indulge in the cynicism over the state of the nations, but Justin, besides my cold polar vortex psychosis, the world is a mess. It's February something in the 20s. I don't know, February 20 something. And it's 2026. And the world is in chaos. And I'm at perfect peace and ease alone. That says a lot. Every day, change behavior. Every day, I'm seeking this power. So when you do these things, you're going to enter a new relationship. That's where these people are getting it wrong, Justin. They're here for, I need a new boyfriend. I need a new Bugatti. I need a new car. I need a new career. I need a new baby. They don't want a new relationship with the creator of the universe. Go deep on that. They want it with their old punishing God. You understand their old belief system of a punishing God. They were born into a world of sinners. If that's your belief system, then believe it. Then you don't need this program. Go with that program. But this program says that I would have the elements. What is spirit? The Holy Spirit inside of you. The elements: humility, faith, responsibility, patience, fruits of the Spirit, of a way of living which answered all my problems. All. So if the promises aren't coming true, you have to go back and see what step you aren't doing. So if life isn't taking on new meaning, that's a step 12 promise. Go back to step 11. Right? If you are not, like, what's step 11 promise? You just got to go back through all the promises. Does that make sense, Justin? Come in through here. What is you sponsor a lot. So what do you tell your sponsees when they're not recoiling? Not just from porn, not just from a sex worker, not just from the sugar, not just from a glass of red wine like a hot flame. When they're not recoiling from fear or the need to be right, what do you tell them?
Yeah, this is really helpful, and what do I tell them? Well, it is on a case by case basis, but I do bring them back to, like what you said. Well, where am I not connecting with this power, with my creator? And let's dive into that. I love, I'm going to read further on page 13 where you started and go up to the top of page 14 on this paragraph. Elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. That's the relationship with my creator. Belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Well, what am I missing? Am I missing the belief in the power of God? Well, maybe I have that belief there, but am I willing enough? Am I being honest and humble in order to establish and maintain that new order of things? Well, if I'm saying, well, you know what? I'm going to put these things on God's plate, but I still want to keep these things back for myself. I'm not being willing. I'm not being honest with with anybody. You know what? I'm just going to hold on to this. I'm not going to tell anybody about it, but it's still in my control. And the humility to say, you know what, God, I don't have any of this. Take it all. I'm putting it on your plate, on your altar, and turning it over to you. That's when those promises, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, will manifest. And that's kind of how I walk through it with my sponsees. And I'm grateful that my sponsor shows me those blind spots also and says, Justin, you're missing something here. Let's take a look. Where are you not being willing, honest, and humble and open-minded? So that's kind of how I approach it in those senses.
Well, it's interesting what you said to your sponsor. And we did a podcast recently on sponsors and grand sponsors. We talked about it. It takes two to see one. All over the book, it says we. So you cannot do this program alone. If the promises are not coming true, you are not with the right group of people who are pushing you into, I'm always like to my friend Tom. I think you know my friend Guitar Tom. He's always on, he plays a guitar. He's on Noodle and he's always there. He's my first friend in the rooms. He's been here decades. And I'm like, well, what are we going to talk about? He's like, well, there is a solution. He's always going to, there is a solution. And there is a solution. You don't need to live in the promises. But I think a lot of the time when the promises aren't coming true for people, they are looking outward, not inward. This is all deep down inside. See, page 24 says, when this sort of thinking is established, fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies. Now, my friend Justin's never had a drink, but he has alcoholic tendencies. So he has placed himself beyond human aid. And here is the problem as we get down to it. Soul surgeons, come on, let's get in here. The reason the promises aren't coming true, or you're not getting the freedom, or you're not recoiling from those things like a hot flame, is because you're running back to your human aids. You're looking for another book. You're looking for an easier, softer way. You're looking for a half measure. You're looking for another therapist. You're looking for and I know Justin and I always give disclaimers on here, and I know you have to a lot with me, Justin, because I'm always like, don't go to the doctor, but Nikki, you're not a doctor. I know, but I have yet to meet a doctor that writes a prescription for gratitude. And I mean a complete refill, Justin, endless supply, lifetime supply of gratitude, lifetime supply of patience. If you are listening around the world and you have a doctor who will write prescriptions for patience, trust, love, the altruistic kind, agape love, then please send me their number. But I don't know that. I know a lot of this is beyond human aid. There's no money on the planet that will fix your soul. So this is all about reprogramming. Page 117. We urge you to try to do our program. Nothing. You're beyond human aid. Nothing. No retreat. I'm always like, seriously, because I'm a fantasy addict too. You know that. I said in the last episode. And it's like, my new thing is like, I just need to get to Vietnam. I'm a social media freak, so I'm all scrolling. Everyone Like, when you think of something, Justin, it's like they say it. You think of it, you see, I need a red car. There's red cars all over the street. I'm like, I need to go to Vietnam. Everyone and their mother I know is in Vietnam right now. And it's like, it's all inside of you, Nikki. You do not need to go anywhere. Wherever you go, there you are. Like, this is so deep. So if the promises aren't coming true, you need to go back and follow and figure out with, as Justin said, your sponsor. Call us, with anybody that has a big book or an undiluted solution of what instruction aren't you following. I can give a few, Justin, right now, and it will be like, here it is. I'm not trusting God. That's always the first one. I'm not, page 98, Nikki. I'm not trusting God and cleaning house. Here's another one. I'm not admitting to my innermost self. I'm admitting to the world that I can't do this, but to my innermost self. Here's another one. I'm not smashing the idea that I'm like other people. Oh, here's another one. I'm not remembering I tapped power. Here's another one. I'm not remembering that my sex powers are God-given. I'm just laying back, spread eagle. Well, not anymore. I don't do that. But you know what I mean, young people out there. Like, are you remembering these things? So there's all these instructions, and then you want to be better overnight. And then you're not remembering, Justin, and you can come in here about this not being an overnight matter. I mean, Justin, our last podcast, you just found a word on a page that blew your head off that I don't think, like, overnight different person. We talked about that last week. It's like there's things in this magic book that will be revealed, and you'll sit on it and you'll chew on it like a little dog with a bone for maybe sometimes a week, maybe sometimes a month, and then you'll be transformed.
Yeah. Nikki, I'm going to share something here that I think will stir up a hornet's nest with some of our listeners, and I think that's okay because I'm speaking from firsthand experience here. We're talking about promises, not obtaining the promises. Maybe it's because we're relying on human aid too much. In my experience, my religion is human aid. And if I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not experiencing these promises, but in my religion, I'm checking all the boxes. I'm doing everything that it says in my religion. I have to separate religion from God. I have to separate religion from the promises, the obtaining of promises, because it's not the same thing. For me and people who know me, I'm a pretty dang religious person, but it wasn't until I separated my God from my religion that I became a good practitioner of my religion and somebody who pretty regularly, when I'm practicing these principles, recipient of these promises. And what I want to share about that is dive deep into connecting with God in the way that works for you. The religious way of connecting with God, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I said I was checking all the boxes, and yet I did not have that spiritual awakening. I did not have the promises coming true. I had to step back and say, okay, God, how can I connect with you? How can I do your will? And I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means abandoning everything. Now, for me, as I look back at things, I go, well, God didn't ask me to abandon everything. He asked me to abandon myself and my own ways of thinking and become a new creature, become a new, have a new experience with all of these things. And as I did that, I became a much better practitioner of my religion, which, once again, is not the solution, but it is a great way to give back to others in serving in my religion. It's a great way to practice these principles, but it's not the way to connect with God. And, if you're out there and you're like, you're messed up, I'm going to turn us to We Agnostics. To one who feels, this is on page 44, to one who feels he is an atheist or agnostic, and I put in there, or religionist, such an experience seems impossible. But to continue as he is means disaster, especially if he's an alcoholic of a hopeless variety. Having a spiritual experience is not tied to religion. It's tied to open-mindedness. It's tied to willingness. It's tied to humility, and it's tied to honesty. Anyways, Nikki, as I shared those things, I don't know why I felt to do that, but I felt I needed to share that. What are your thoughts and feedback on it? You're on mute.
There we go. My mind's buzzing too. Yes, I was on mute. My mind was really buzzing because on the next line, what you read, to be doomed to an alcoholic death, to an addiction death, blotting out your consciousness every day, or to live on a spiritual basis, not a religious basis. This is not a religious program. That's why we see a lot of people in here. Remember when we went down there on the page 572, the religious views, when it says, they became better Catholics after doing a spiritual program. Because I like to go to page 18, just this short phrase, armed with the facts. See, what I was taught through my religion, they didn't arm me with the facts. If I went deep into religion, they had a council in 300, what was it, AC, BC, right? All these things. And they put together a book. They left out lots of books, Justin. And so I go to look at those books so I can get armed with more facts, just like they leave out a lot of things. Who's they? I don't. This is how deep it goes. I don't know. Like, this is how deep it goes. So question everything. And what I heard you say when you were talking, Justin, is that you do this every day. You had to sweep away your prejudice. Is what I was taught true? Is what my religion taught me true? Is what mommy and daddy taught me true? Is what my university, my schooling taught me true? You have to sweep away everything, caveat, every day. Then you got to think honestly. Is that true that I've got to go through someone or something to get this power? Go deep. Like, is it true that, like, all these things? Ask yourself every day and then search diligently. And then here's the key word: within yourself. A lot of you guys are searching diligently within more religions, within more books, within more doctors, within more medication, within more countries, within more lovers. This goes deep. I'm at a point, Justin, and I talked about it. It can confuse people. This is going to be a confusing episode for people. Justin's talking about this. I'm talking about the 13th step, and not the 13th step where you go into a room as a dating app and you find somebody to sleep with you or coddle you or validate you. I'm talking about the final step of a 12-step program, me and God. Remember, step 12 is we serve people, we practice these principles, but where does it come back to? Just at one with God, the 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. Back with God, the burning bush, says Moses. Back with God, says the Prophet Muhammad. Back with God, says the Yogini. Like, really, silence alone. This is page 63. Better to meet God alone than with those that don't understand. So if the promises aren't coming true for you, this is radical. And it's not going to happen overnight. And you're not going to have a new belief system and a new programming after 30 years of deep programming. Think about it. You got some deep programming and you want to feel better after 3 months? You want to feel better after 3 years? Justin and I are like, wait. Justin's like, wait, I just had this thing with my family. And I'm like, wait, wait. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like, my whole life is upside down every day because I'm constantly getting a new thought life. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives, says page 86. Our thought life. That's why the promises aren't coming true. What are you thinking about? This could be the never-ending story. We could be here forever, Justin, just talking about thoughts and life and what are you thinking about. And this goes so deep. This back to what the spiritual life is not a theory. This isn't about religion. This isn't about anything but you and the power inside of you.
Yeah. And, I think it was Carl Jung who is mentioned in the big book here, who said something like this: if you aren't finding God, you're not looking low enough. I'll speak for myself. I always thought God was this perfect being that was a billion bazillion miles away up in the sky, whatever. And it turns out that God is right here. And no matter how deep I go in addiction, how deep I'm digging myself into a big old hole, God has been below that and knows where I am and is with me and can get me to where God needs me to be. No matter the chaos that's happening in your life out there, no matter the things that are going on, you can still be at perfect peace and ease by yourself with God. You can still experience the promises in here. You can react sanely and normally to the chaos of the world if you are practicing these principles in all your affairs. All of these promises can happen no matter what's going on the outside. The happiness and joy I experience has more to do with where I seek that happiness and joy than the condition and experience of my life right now, the condition of the world. So what I want to do is issue an invitation to everybody out there as we close this out. Dig deep. Look deep inside. Look lower and find that power that will lift you above all of these things, even through the chaos. I know you're worth it. I hope you eventually know you're worth it. But God, the creator, the power, these principles knows you are worth it and is pulling for you and pulling at you. So come along. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together because you are worth it.